Xbox is in the crosshairs as they plan to do something that I think is a good thing with unintended consequences. A recent alert popped up in some gamers' Xboxes indicating that their unlicensed accessory will be blocked from use very soon. Obviously, this caused a lot of concern about legitimate accessories that different players want to use or need to use. Accessibility controllers often need a third-party adapter. Certain controllers within the fighting community also require a converter that will be blocked by this decision. Now, the obvious intention here is twofold. First and foremost, many of these adapters and converters are used by cheaters, and closing your hardware honestly pushes consumers toward your own accessories. Now, I don't have a problem with either of these aims. I think these are good business decisions. If you want to close your system, if you want to stop cheaters, that's great. But the question is, will this cause more harm than good? Now, I put all of the good information right here at the beginning of the video. It's a longer video because I am a live streamer. So if you want to make sure you are here for the live shows, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss my shows. A recent alert popping up on Xbox indicates their plans to block non-licensed third-party accessories from working, and it has caused more of a stir than I expected when I first saw the news. As somebody who wants to see more aggressive action taken to stop cheating, I think this is a great decision, but the unintended consequences may leave a lot of gamers out in the cold. So I want to break this into sections. First, I want to tell you what happened. Microsoft has officially responded to the situation, but the criticisms and the complaints from some users may require a more nuanced or specific response or approach. Second, I want to talk about the good that I see from this decision. The timing is hard to ignore now that Xbox owns Call of Duty. They make a big move to stop cheating on their console. But this situation is not without its issues. So third, I want to talk about the bad. There are certainly unintended consequences here, and hopefully a solution can be found for those who are not just using third-party accessories to cheat. Lastly, I want to consider the future. Having a closed system like a console has its advantages, but is there a greater movement here to having a closed ecosystem as well? And what would a closed ecosystem look like? So first, what happens? Now, I'm going to pull from Windows Central because they were sort of following this as it developed, and they reported on the following. Xbox's new policy, say goodbye to unofficial accessories from November on, thanks to error 0x82D60002. Yes, they put the error number up there. So if you're getting that error message, you're also getting a message indicating that your stuff won't work in the coming days. Now, reading further in their article, it says, in a significant development for Xbox users, the era of tinkering with your console to use unapproved accessories is drawing to a close. Xbox has taken a definitive stance by instituting a new policy that will block the use of unauthorized accessories with its consoles effective as of November the 17th. Now, the screenshots floating around show the date November the 12th, so November the 17th might be a typo there, but sometime in November, 2 weeks or so into the month, this stuff won't work, and this is how the error message reads. A connected accessory is not authorized. Using unauthorized accessories comprises your gaming experience. Compromises. For this reason, the unauthorized accessory will be blocked from November the 12th on. For help returning it, check the store it came from or contact the manufacturer. To see a list of authorized accessories, go to xbox.com/accessories. So it's a little bit comical. They're like, look, if you need to return this thing, contact the manufacturer, especially if this error is showing up for unintended recipients, right? If you're like, I'm just using an accessibility controller that I bought, right? Imagine being a cheater, though, and seeing this, right? But you also have to imagine somebody who needs the adapter to use their accessibility controller. There are controllers out there for limited motor function. People use controllers with their mouth, right? These are pretty significant devices that require that adapter. Now, Jennifer Young wrote this article and indicated a family member first brought this to her attention, but the error came with immediate issues. This was not like, oh, you got a couple of weeks thing. This is what she said. Not only did she receive the warning message and the error code, but the controller already failed to function with the Xbox. I asked for a photo of the controller, and I'm not surprised it didn't work, given the included adapter looks like something you would get for free at the bottom of a box of cereal. Now, she's obviously being funny, but the image was just a pink Xbox controller. It looked like a legitimate controller that you might buy at like a Walmart or a Target. The dongle to connect it certainly had like an aftermarket vibe to it, but the controller looked totally normal. So anybody could go to the store and buy one of these and find out, man, it's not working any longer. The errors quickly started making the rounds to the point that a manufacturer had to say something. According to the article, one of the brands feeling the heat from this upcoming change is Brook Gaming, known for its third-party gaming accessories, and they posted the following. Dear gamers, we extend our heartfelt appreciation for your unwavering support and interest in Brook. We find it necessary to share crucial information with you regarding our Xbox console-related products, which may encounter functional disruptions in the near future. Recently, we have received player feedback concerning these products when used on Xbox consoles during online gameplay. The error message appears, a connected accessory is not authorized. We deeply regret any inconvenience this may cause you. The Brook engineering team is fully committed to developing a solution to maintain product quality and functionality. Please trust that we will spare no effort in identifying potential solutions. So they're going to try to figure this out, okay? So Brook Gaming converters would have to then be officially licensed with Xbox. Now, the issue with that is these are the types of converters that allow people to use cheats, that allow people to circumvent anti-cheat, use modded controllers and things like that. That's not what everybody does with them, but that's what they allow for, all right? They're not only used for that, though. They're used for accessibility controllers as well as controllers within the fighting community. Maximilian Dude weighed in on this on Twitter and said, this is essentially a death sentence for local fighting game events that run on Xbox, much less others that can only afford one arcade stick. The Brook Gaming converters are not cheat devices. They're a huge boon to the fighting gaming community. Please reconsider. Now, the two devices listed that are affected are the Wingman XB2 converter and the XB Fighting board. Now, the Brook Wingman XB2 converter is the type of device that allows you to control basically anything you want to your console. It literally looks like a USB flash drive that you'd like plug in to move files. It kind of looks like that, and it allows you to plug any kind of controller or device into it, and that's the challenge. Many use this type of converter for legitimate reasons, right? But others are using modded controllers or types of devices that allow them to cheat and run aimbots and things like that. Now, some games have tried to block these types of adapters, like at a game level. The game detects you're using it, and then it tells you you're banned or it blocks it or whatever. They seem particularly popular, though, these converters, with fighting games. One of the first reviews I found on Amazon for this particular device, the guy took a picture of like his joystick, pad that he had, and he was really, really excited. I remember back with the original Nintendo, we got the joypad, and we thought it was super cool. An official Microsoft spokesperson said the following: in response to this news, Microsoft and other licensed Xbox hardware partner accessories are designed and manufactured with quality standards for performance, security, and safety. Unauthorized accessories can compromise the gaming experience on Xbox consoles. Players may receive a pop-up warning that their accessory is unauthorized. Eventually, the unauthorized accessory will be blocked from use to preserve the console gaming experience. So this is just nothing, right? This is like an official response that just says what the error says, just with more sentences. So I'm kind of torn on this, all right? So that's what happened. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the future, okay? So first up, the good. Now, before I walk through these points, I really want to stress something, okay? That I really hope the unintended consequences can be rectified. So when you hear me say, there's good here, this is good, I don't want you to hear me like dismissing your problems. I follow Rocky No Hands on Twitter. We've gone back and forth a couple times. I've shown my kids him playing with the sound off. Rocky's not exactly safe for work, but he seems like a cool dude, right? And he plays with his mouth, and he's somebody out there representing those who need accessibility controllers. I am not dismissing those people. I'll get to you in a second, all right? But I do think there is some good here. I think more companies should start to take measures like this, just not measures that block people from using legitimate devices. So the first thing I want to say is, this is a long time coming. I never understood letting people use devices that allowed for modded controllers or cheating. I just didn't make any sense to me, right? I like them doing this at the console level instead of leaving it up to the developers. It feels sort of backwards to allow a device that can cause problems and then just sort of shrug and be like, all right, well, good luck, developers. You know that people are using Cronus devices and Zims and these Wingmans. They're connecting all kind of devices. Hopefully, all can detect it and block block it. So that's kind of the second thing I want to say. This takes pressures off the devs to babysit blocking devices and the updates that those devices inevitably get. This obviously will not stop cheating altogether, but it can land a pretty strong blow to stopping using devices that help people cheat. And the third thing I want to say is more of an observation. This update comes in the wake of the Activision merger. Right after Xbox owns Call of Duty, they make a move to block something that is the cause of much frustration within the COD community. We have no information yet, but it would not surprise me at all if they had data points from the Call of Duty developers that pushed for this. They were like, if we could just stop all these accessories that people are using, it would stop a lot of the cheating at a console level. Throughout this year, Call of Duty has been detecting and banning XIM users, XIM. This is another way that people cheat on console, and they've been detecting and banning those people. So that may have helped lead to this. They probably went to Xbox and like, my gosh, if you guys dropped the hammer on this, it would save us a ton of time. People wouldn't even be able to do it, okay? That may have been a part of the equation. We don't know, but it does seem a little suspicious in a good way that, like, the timing here is like, as soon as Xbox owns Call of Duty, they're like, nope, we don't want that happening anymore, okay? The last good thing I see coming from this is it will put pressure on Sony to do the same thing. If this successfully addresses a large swath of cheating in Call of Duty, the platform that would benefit the most from this would be the platform where more people play Call of Duty, right? If it happens on Xbox and the cheaters can't cheat anymore, you want to know what they're going to do? They're going to go get PlayStations. They're going to go get PlayStations. They're going to play there, and they're going to cheat there if they can do it there with these adaptive devices, these adapters, okay? But this is not as simple as stopping cheaters, okay? There is bad unintended consequences here. First and foremost, those who use accessibility controllers are already expressing their frustration. Rocky No Hands uses the Quadstick controller or something like it. I believe it's the Quadstick. It looks like the Quadstick. He might use something more proprietary or custom built, but it is a controller that you use with your mouth. If you've never watched this guy throw down in these shooters, you gotta watch it. It is a spectacle. He's good, okay? And he does it all with his mouth. It's impressive. He's actually kind of funny as well. He's a little crass. Fair warning, all right? He probably wouldn't care about me saying that, so just fair warning. Unfortunately, these types of controllers require an adapter. The very adapters being blocked by this change. They even recommend on their website, the Quadstick controller that you use with your mouth, they even recommend right on their website to use the Brook Wingman XB. So now we have like an interconnected economic dependency between two companies, and that's getting sort of damaged, okay? This is one of the things that is being blocked. Now, part of me says, well, couldn't just Quadstick, the company, work with Xbox, become a licensed device, and then you no longer need the adapter? You can plug right into the Xbox, right? They could create the needed firmware, software, drivers, whatever, to let people go into the Xbox and customize it, set it up, put all their settings in or whatever. I would imagine they do all this with the adapter itself as far as binding keys and controls and things of that nature. Now, that might be more expensive or more complicated than it's worth it. As I said, the hope would be is that Xbox can work with legitimate controllers and devices that are helping people. The second bad result here is the negative effect on the fighting game community. I put this in second place, okay? I think the people using accessibility controllers are more important in my mind. That's not a preference, that's a need, and suddenly not being able to use their controller is a significant bummer. You suddenly not being able to use your joystick is also a bummer. It's not as big of a deal, though, because they literally can't play any games when this change happens. You would just have to find another way around it, or maybe, take a break from fighting games for a while. I'm not trying to dismiss you, though. I get it. It's irritating. Y'all have been doing this for a while. If you're not making, a wide array of joystick pad controllers, Xbox, hey, you're not making these controllers, and it feels kind of lame to inadvertently make them unusable in the blink of an eye, okay? It's like, oh, yep, can't use these things. But what? Like, people are enjoying using them. Now, another bad that comes from this is related to what I was just talking about. wanting to use these joystick pads in fighting games. You're removing customer choice. A lot of customer reviews on Amazon for the Wingman were people that just had like a controller they wanted to keep using. Maybe they really liked it. Maybe they were coming from a different, console, and they wanted to continue to use the controller that they felt was their favorite, right? That's just preference, and you're taking that away from people. There are also now more controllers hitting the market that are the Hall effect controllers. These are the controllers that use magnets that basically make it so you'll never get stick drift. I don't know if any or all or some of those controllers are licensed. If you went out and spent a lot of money on some of these newer Hall effect controllers, they may not work on your Xbox. I don't know. There's too many for me to go research, so you'll have to go and check and see if it's one of the ones that are approved. Now, will these companies be allowed to get licensure? Would they be blocked by this? Would Xbox say, no, you're making a controller that sort of, works against our own aims of selling our own controllers and accessories? That's conflict of interest, and then they might not grant licenses to certain companies or certain products that are in direct competition with their own accessories and devices. Obviously, that's a negative aspect of this. Some are saying this is motivated by greed, making it so, no, you got to buy accessories from Xbox. They're closing the system. They're pulling an Apple, right? People criticized Sony recently for not letting, certain devices work with the PlayStation Portal, their portable device, like certain headphones and things. Like, you got to use theirs, and people really criticize that. People do not like a closed system. They don't like when you have to go to that manufacturer. Now, I'm not sure if that's the motivation. Okay, I'm not sure. We've got somebody saying it has nothing to do with the Zim and the Cronus. As of right now, according to a report, we haven't seen any evidence that these types of accessories will be affected by the recent changes, since Xbox has historically been unable to detect them, but we're investigating. That comes fresh from Windows Central. So the ongoing look into this is, it's like these devices that really are the culprits, the Cronus and the Zim, are the most commonly used for cheating. And according to the Windows Central article, they're notorious for not even being detected. And I'll get on why in a moment. Now, one pushback about this entire decision is related to what I just read. You can simply spoof and fake that to be an approved device. So you could be like, oh, we don't want them to know you're plugging in a Cronus or a Zim. So what we're going to do is we're going to spoof and make the Xbox think that you just plugged in an Xbox Series X controller or an Xbox Series whatever controller. Whatever the license approval process is, the people that make the Cronus and the Zim and the people that update them can simply push out an update that circumvents this entire thing, okay? All you'd really achieve then is stopping legitimate players from using an accessibility controller or their favorite joypad for their fighting game. This leads to my final section, the future. Now, before I talk about the future, I want to say that a closed system has its advantages. A lot of criticism gets thrown around about these types of decisions, but one of the biggest advantages of having a closed console system is the epidemic of cheating has a hard time making landfall on your system when it's closed. Crossplay has obviously sort of ruined this in some games if you can't turn crossplay off. Kind of removes that barrier, and then you get thrown in with PC. PC seems to live predominantly cheating predominantly seems to live on PC. An open platform comes with benefits. It does. People really like being on PC. They like having the open platform, but it comes with a lot of bad actors. It comes with people who pirate and steal software, so then companies feel like they have to protect their software, so they throw crap like Denuvo in it, and then it makes the game run poorly. You have to deal with anti-cheat software running in the background sometimes. You have to deal with people trying to cheat, successfully cheating. PC, being an open platform, does come with good and bad, right? And so do closed systems. There's good and bad, right? This came up when we covered the internet requirement for the PlayStation 5 now. The external drive has to be paired with the PS5, and you need internet to do that. It was such a non-story, but we covered it, and it seems primarily linked to a law about you cannot even tamper with or repair these types of drives because they interact with copyrighted material. This is part of DMCA. But some folks seem frustrated simply because it was obvious you weren't going to be able to jailbreak a PS5 super easily or put your own drive in it and just play a bunch of pirated and downloaded games, which leads to piracy, right? People don't want to see that. The jailbroken PS4s, we saw that, right? They were used for cheating in the Modern Warfare 3 beta. So allowing people to break through a closed system, jailbreak, and pirate and hack and cheat, it's bad. A closed system has its advantages. It isn't perfect. It certainly limits customer choices in some respects, but some consumers prefer a closed system over the open system of the PC. Some of the advantages obviously extend to the company itself, because then they can sell all their accessories and you're not buying different ones, which is why I wonder if this is setting up something, if we're heading towards a closed ecosystem. And the reason I say this is because I find this decision to be a little bit confusing, because Xbox launches their first-party games on Xbox and PC. Do they plan on limiting the type of accessories that people can use on their PC when they're playing a game through the Xbox store? It'd be a really quick way to turn a lot of the PC user base away from using your storefront. It's already going to be difficult to compete with Steam on the PC landscape. As Phil said, digital libraries dictated what happened in the console war, where a lot of people have a Steam digital library, and it's really important to them. Now imagine, you're not just trying to get them to use your ecosystem on PC, your Xbox storefront ecosystem, but if you stop them from using certain accessories, they will not come and use your ecosystem. So if you're not going to do that on PC, why is that being treated any differently than the Xbox? What about mobile, right? We know they want to push into mobile. Mobile games, that is full of third-party controllers, Bluetooth headphones, all types of accessories. Will Xbox have a similar attitude in that landscape as well? Or is this only something they're going to do on consoles? With games landing on PC at the same time, and they said in their own documentation, this is no longer a console generation, it's an ecosystem generation. I could see console Xbox fans calling foul here and saying, listen, why are we being singled out? We can't use third-party accessories and third-party controllers, but your games are on mobile. Your games are on PC. You're not doing it in those situations. So while on the surface, I do think this is a good move and it's well-intended if they're intending to block cheaters or bad actors. But right now, I just feel like I have more questions than answers. Because when I first saw this news, I was like, that's great. That's great. Xbox is doing what we've always said, like stop people from using those devices. But then I didn't realize, what about the people that are using these accessibility controllers or these fighting joypads? Will those companies, will they work with Xbox? Will Xbox work with them? Will they streamline the licensure to ensure that these products continue to work? You know, the accessibility controller companies, you know, why haven't they been going for licensure? Is it expensive? Is it arduous? Has Xbox just flat out said no? And lastly, what about the rest of the Xbox ecosystem? What about people playing on mobile or PC? Are we headed for more big changes within the Xbox ecosystem, or is this just something they're going to modify and maybe even walk back? For now, it seems we'll have to wait, leaving cheaters hunting for a new solution and other legitimate players, sadly, out in the cold. So let me give you my thoughts and my conclusions on this. The issue of cheating in gaming will unfortunately never truly go away. Even efforts like blocking accessories will likely only work for a short period of time. It's a constant game of whack-a-mole where everything you try gets subverted faster than you can even say anti-cheat. Stopping cheaters always feels like it needs to be a full, like, four-pronged approach. You know, don't make it easy to jump back in after getting banned. Like, right, repeat offenders, ban evading is a huge problem. Software and hardware detection efforts need to be constantly updated. Even the newer anti-cheat companies, they're trying to leverage like AI and machine learning to detect non-human behavior. Like, it's getting a little crazy. The second thing I want to say is the unintended consequences of what Xbox is trying to do should be looked into. Stopping entire segments of the player base from being able to play with their controllers that they prefer or controllers that they need, that is not ideal. And a larger question remains, why have some of these accessibility controller manufacturers not worked with Xbox for licensure? Like, is it too expensive? Is this something that Xbox needs to rectify? Have they just made that process not conducive to just good business sense? Are they making it to where companies just don't want to work with them? Is it just being cheap, right? I'm not calling anybody cheap, but if you're making these adapters and you're making these controllers, maybe you're looking at your annual revenue saying, it's a lot cheaper to not have to give a percentage to Microsoft and Xbox, so we'll just use this third-party unlicensed adapter. My conclusion is this. Like many things I've covered recently, this topic is not neat and clean. There is certainly no right or wrong here. At the very least, maybe Xbox could delay the rollout to ensure they don't overreach and block controllers or gamers who just should not be blocked. But for now, it looks like if you aren't using an Xbox licensed controller or accessory, you're going to have to find another way to game on their console. And that's the show open. Thank you guys so much for being here. Before we even get into it, I know everybody's going to ask, so I'm just going to do this right now. I'm going to address it right now. I am being berated in chat and on Twitter for not covering the Bungie layoffs. Okay, let me be perfectly clear about something. Number one, I'm not a big fan of covering Bungie and the fact that like they've delayed their game DLC. When have I ever covered Destiny content plans ever on this channel? I do not like the company, and I do not cover the game. Second thing I want to say is, I didn't cover when Xbox laid off way more people. We covered leadership changes at 343, and if there were significant leadership changes at Bungie, we might have considered covering it. I really don't like covering Bungie, but when you have significant leadership changes at a company, that makes sense. But I did not cover the Xbox layoffs. I did not cover the Epic layoffs. They laid off like 16% of their staff, okay? I don't like covering layoffs because there's not a lot to say. Other than it sucks. 84 companies in the tech sector this year have done layoffs, right? They overcompensated in 2020 and 2021, and this is the result of that. Lots of companies are doing layoffs. It sucks, okay? They overreacted to 2020. Everybody was stuck at home, and all these gaming companies mushroomed up. The situation with Bungie, we have an unconfirmed number of people who have been laid off. A trend was it was a lot of community-focused people, writing-focused people. It didn't seem like very, very high-level engineer staff or leadership was being laid off. This seems sort of like a reallocation of we don't really need the community management team anymore. We're funneling everything through one Twitter account, okay? So I have no desire to cover that. I also think that it's ridiculous that people that are running with rumor mill nonsense and made up stuff and fabricated theories over the weekend about Sony's in trouble, they're sort of connecting this story to that. People got laid off, and that like really sucks, and running with that to be like, well, this confirms my completely made up, fabricated rumor mill nonsense so that I can smear a company. I just think people need to really take a fast and hard look in the mirror. I don't cover stuff like this unless we feel it is a significant change at the company. Layoffs have been happening all this year, and we just haven't been covering it. It doesn't make for a great talk show to be like, yeah, a bunch of people got laid off, right? Now, when you change leadership, I'll cover that, right? We covered Jim Ryan retiring. That's a pretty big leadership change. We'll probably cover his successor. That's a pretty big leadership change. We covered the changes at Xbox recently in an upload, okay? We covered when 343, I was pretty irritated when Joseph Staten was moving on. I liked Staten. He gave me a lot of confidence in Halo. So that's why we're not covering that, all right? And in the future, if you think I'm going to cover Bungie or cover Destiny, you're not paying attention. I don't cover that game, and I do not like that company, okay? They've been consistently exposed for their false virtue and their nonsense and their corruption. I covered them once on this channel because the IGN puff piece that they wrote, sweeping their misconduct under the rug and paying victims to be quiet, I believe that company has its own reckoning coming for how they've handled their own misconduct. And for that reason, I have no desire to talk about them or cover them more than I just did, all right? So let's talk about the actual topic today, because there's good and bad here. Eugene's super against this. He thinks that this is terrible. He's the one that gave me the updated quote from the Windows Central article that the Zim and the Cronus seemingly get past this detection. They don't even get detected. They're like, yeah, you can't really stop us, right? So As far as I can tell, there are people that are pretty upset about this because it's not even really targeting the major culprits of cheating, which are the Zim and the Cronus. And let me just thank some fan funding here. Two spot from Andy. Unfortunately, us sim racers are affected bad. Oh, I forgot about sim racers. I am so sorry. Andy B, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, anybody using like third-party, steering wheels and stuff. The bright side with a gifted member. Let's get that out here on the screen for you guys. Hang on 1 second. I got to turn it on. And this is going to be the first one of the day. So we always like to get that out there. There we go. Han shot first, and so did you. First member of the day, Moody with 21 months and a VIP. Welcome back, Moody. Thank you so much. The Cronus doesn't get detected. I really don't understand then. I really don't understand. Like, what would be the reason then for doing this? Why are they specifically targeting adapters that are used by people that do accessibility, steering wheels, and fighting game thumb joystick pads? Why? I don't understand what the purpose of this is. They haven't really explained it. Other than saying it compromises your experience. And it's like, how does it compromise their experience? Like, if they need to use the adapter, how is it compromising Rocky No Hands' experience? How? He needs it. DK Beggar with another gifted membership. Thank you so much, DK Beggar, taking us to 2 members already on the day. Thank you guys so much. It is Halloween. I'm not wearing an outfit or anything, so keep in mind, you guys hit the Fright Night goals. We're going to do another scary game this Friday night. We're going to do the Don't Scream game. And then the following week, we're going to do a VR scary game. You guys are in for a treat. That'll be really funny, especially with my wife in the room. Derek says, for amputees, paralyzed folks who use stuff like Quadstick, couldn't Microsoft manually go in and make their accounts okay with the controller? That has to be possible. There can't be that many legit users. Well, there's a logistical nightmare there because, Derek, what they would have to approve them for is not the quad stick. They would have to approve them for the adapter because the adapter is the first thing that plugs in. So the minute you do that, you're opening yourself up for a logistical nightmare. You're going to have all these people submitting and saying, hey, I would really like to be, approved here. Here's my Rocky No Hands. That's his name. He streams. He plays like Apex. I think he plays Apex. I've seen him play Call of Duty. Homie plays with his mouth. He's a killer. Like, he's awesome to watch. Again, he's crass. Like, if you're like safe for work, like when I show it to my kids, I show it with the sound off, right? He can get a little, he can get a little rough. That's a real person? Yes! It's a real person. Here, I'll show you. We follow each other on Twitter. He's really nice. I showed his stuff to my kids a while ago. I was like, check this out. I was like, this guy plays with his mouth. There he is. Rocky No Hands. He's part of Luminosity. This dude, hang on, I got the capture card set up, zoomed in. There we go. He's an accessibility gamer. Here's a picture. There's the controller right there in front of his mouth. This is what he uses, right? I don't know if this is the quad stick. I believe it is, or it's something just like the quad stick. And so he's sad about no more Rocky No Hands. So here he is right here. This is him. This is him playing. See? He's got a little bit of a different camera angle here. There you go. If Twitter could cooperate here. There we go. See? Moving around. I don't know if he's going to slay out in this clip or not. I've not watched this clip before. But you can see him there above me. Quality's not great because it's a Twitter video. See him right above me. He literally is just using his mouth. The front of the controller has like three holes I believe he can blow into. He can move it with his chin up, down, left, or right. He's got other ones off to the side that I believe he can blow in as well. Right? So that the controller that he uses, uses an adapter to connect to the Xbox. And that adapter is now blocked. The controller that he uses, I don't know if that's exactly the one. Hang on, did I miss a resub here? Joker Quinn with 5 months in a VIP says, good morning, Lono. Love your community and content. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn. I think I thanked you for that. No, Xbox didn't because he's PC. Nerd Mother with 25 months in a VIP says, I'm still here. Oh, he plays on PC? Oh, primarily. Well, if he wants to play on Xbox, he can't. That's the point, right? Okay, maybe that's just to show you how it works then. Rocky No Hands, that's how the controller works. There's a lot of people just like him that use that controller and they're on Xbox and can't now. That's the point, right? Not only that, like beyond that, there are people doing racing games, there are people doing fighting games. You know what I'm saying? Andy B with a 5 spot says, it's already started with sim racers in the Brooks and Creative Minds Drive Hub. It was compromised with an update on Forza Motorsport launch. Wait, so this is something that already took place with Forza Motorsport? They made it to where you couldn't use things that you had purchased to interact with racers? I don't understand why they wouldn't have any kind of a statement about this. I can't make heads or tails of this. My initial response was, oh, this is great. They're stopping cheaters. But the more we look into this, the more it sounds like this has nothing to do with cheaters. You're not even successfully blocking the Cronus and the Zim, which are the primary means with which people cheat. I get that it's an adapter that trips the alarm, so to speak, but a legit Quadstick user like Rocky No Hands is easy to verify. I mean, come on, his Xbox account could have a free pass. Fighting games have no chance on Xbox if custom pads can't be used. I kind of expected this from Xbox. They made such a big deal of accessibility for Forza Motorsport, so we were all just waiting for them to drop the soap. The Xbox Adaptive Controller was designed to use third-party devices, though. Well, I think the difference there is, Thanaros, is the Xbox Adaptive Controller plugs into your Xbox, and then you plug into it. I guess in their mind, I can't speak for them, but I'm just going to kind of theorize here. In their mind, if you plug in that third-party accessory adapter or something, you can completely bypass anything that they have. You're just doing your own thing. It does seem kind of strange that you can plug in third-party stuff into their accessibility controller. I wonder if that's going to stop, right? There are legitimate third-party devices out there that cater for those types of disabilities, and if the providers for the device aren't licensed, then the question is, why is it? That was the question I had in my show open, Gale. I said, why are these companies, like, it's not on Xbox. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe Xbox makes licensure, like, very difficult. I'm sorry, maybe they make licensure, like, difficult or expensive. You know, maybe they need to streamline that process. Maybe they're rejecting certain devices and we don't know why. Or it could be on the companies. The companies could be like, we can save a lot of money by not being licensed because then we don't have to give any money to Xbox. So it's possible that this comes down to the manufacturers of the devices. Like, go through the proper channels, man. Get your product, approved. Brutal says, I don't think they're trying to detect cheaters based on input, but rather that AI learning and detecting anomalies in aim play. But I'm guessing an AI is better in a closed system. Immortal Turtle with 21 months says, so basically only licensed hardware works. As an example, the Hori fight stick is the only fight stick that is licensed for Xbox. So bye-bye Mad Cats. My understanding, Immortal Turtle, and this is coming from Maximilian Dude on Twitter, that this is a significant blow to the fighting community. Yes. So if you're using anything other than the one that you just listed, yeah, it will no longer work. It's supposed to stop working on the 12th of November, but the Windows Central article indicated that the author's relative, the controller just immediately stopped working. The hand-waving that they're just closing the ecosystem is just blatant refusal to look at the facts. None of this will impact cheaters. It impacts people who don't want to buy branded controllers. Right, and that's the question. Why would Xbox do this? I don't understand. It doesn't seem like that big of a market. Like, is it that big of a market that it requires you? Like, are you making that much money on controllers? Microsoft probably made licensure a sub where they have to pay a nominal monthly fee in perpetuity, and nah, they wouldn't do that. Well, for sure. For sure. Like, you're not going to spend money if you don't have to. Think about it. Like, I can't really fault the controller manufacturers, right? I can't fault the controller manufacturers. They're like, we're going to save money by not doing a license with Xbox. We can just use this adapter. But I also kind of can't fault Xbox. They're like, this is our system, and if you want to connect stuff to it, it has to be approved and licensed. I don't really feel like anybody's necessarily doing anything wrong. People are like, this is anti-consumer. And I'm like, well, I think anti-consumer is a misnomer because I don't think anything's truly pro-consumer. Anything that's viewed as pro-consumer is generally something where they're just trying to drive profit through your loyalty and you thinking that they're pro-consumer, but that's a whole nother discussion. But from where I sit, it's like I can't really fault Microsoft for being like, no, it's our system. We're closing it up. Can't use unlicensed stuff over here. You know, go through the proper channels. Eugene says, did you see how much the mouth controllers are? You're looking at $700 easy. Okay. Well, again, I go to the company making it. It's not about, you know, let's just keep using Rocky as an example. Rocky No Hands. Rocky goes and buys a controller. And the company that made it has decided, we'll just use an adapter that's already in the market, and we don't have to do any kind of licensure, and we don't do anything with Microsoft, with Xbox, right? Licensure is such a weird word. We don't do any licensure. We can save a lot of money. It's on that company to fix this problem, in my mind. Or it's on Microsoft and Xbox to say, there are certain devices in the market that we're okay with. You just have to submit this form or whatever. You don't have to necessarily pay us money. If they're pro accessibility, then a company like Quadstick, I don't know why you wouldn't just partner with them and be like, listen, this is just an approved device for the sake of accessibility. This is not about selling accessories. We don't offer accessories like that. We don't have a controller that you can blow into, or use with your chin or your face. We don't have that. Now, we have an accessibility controller, but, work with the companies that are out there for accessibility. That would be the front line. The second thing I would do is make it easier. Like, are a lot of these companies just not doing it because it's too expensive? Is it too complicated? How much are they really going to charge you? A percentage? If you're making something that works with their device and you're making a profit off of it, it's really hard. It's really hard to be like, they're not allowed to protect their property and their system, because I've defended this before. Good morning, Feed. How are you? I've defended platforms protecting their stuff and being like, it's their hardware, it's their property. They can do with it what they want. If you don't like it, then become a consumer or a customer of something else. We don't hope other platforms will do the same. They will. Apple does the same thing. They release details of their battery charging port specs only to certain manufacturers of phone chargers. They control who gets to build the third-party accessories. And there's good and bad there, Graydon, because then you don't go buy a charger from some aftermarket Yahoo and he blows your stinking phone up or hurts your phone or whatever because it's some cheap piece of garbage. Quality control makes sense. It's like, this is our device and we only want certain companies making stuff for it. We don't want other people making stuff for it. We want people to think of our brand and we want them to think of quality. I don't have any problem with the company doing that. It's theirs. You don't have a right to it. If you buy it, you're buying into their system. This idea that, like, I have a right to buy this device and do with it whatever I want, and if that compromises this company's ability to sell or make money, I don't care. I'm allowed to jailbreak it and steal games. I'm allowed to jailbreak it and steal content. It's like, that's not at all. That's part of the problem. Is the people that are like, I should be able to buy this device and do whatever I want with it. Like, okay, I think I understand that on principle, but there's this entire gremlin force behind you in the shadows just waiting to be like, if we can get such and such jailbroken, we can steal stuff. We can do whatever we want. We can hack. We can do all sorts of bad things. And then the person in the front's like, I don't want to do bad things. I just want to have a jailbroken iPhone so I can put my own software on there. I've got some things, I've got some efficiency tools that I really, really like, and I want to be able to put them onto my iPhone, okay? I get it. I get where you're coming from. Shop with another company then. Like, it's that simple. If you don't like what a company's doing because they're closing their system and saying, we will only work with certain manufacturers for accessories for our devices, and you don't like that, and you would prefer it to be like an open system, okay, fine. Shop somewhere else then. Shop somewhere else then. You know, in the digital age, it's not as clean as I bought these Bose headphones. If I want to crack them over my knee, if I want to take them apart and solder updates to them, and maybe I'm really, really smart, right? I'm like the guys in the A-Team. Like every episode of the A-Team, they were soldering and welding things together to get out of a bad situation. And I'm just gonna MacGyver it up. I'm gonna A-Team it up. I'm gonna take this apart and retrofit a bunch of stuff on it that I want. That's totally fine. But in a digital age, there are companies that are like, no. Our software system's closed. We don't want you to be able to come in here and tamper. Is it right? Is it wrong? It can't be right or wrong. It's an amoral decision. There's no ethics. There's no morality here. It's a matter of, do you like it as a consumer? Do you dislike it as a consumer? And then that dictates where your money and your loyalty goes. Eugene says, you will never have a controller license for all three consoles. You're forcing people to buy multiple controllers. Sony isn't going to license something that is also Xbox licensed. Right. I mean, that right there, everybody does it. Like, everybody's making it to where, like, no, you can't use our controller on the other box, and the other box doesn't want you to use that controller on them either. Like, they don't want you to be able to do that. It just feels to me like a big company like Sony or Microsoft could easily devote the relatively small amount of work hours to verifying legit gamers who use a quad stick. What about the people who have invested significant amounts of money into, like, a steering wheel for, like, a driving game or a fighting game? Zubair says, totally agree. It's not insulin. You can choose what ecosystem you choose to support. Rip the banana controller. I think that is one of the bummers. Is RoboCop on Game Pass? I have no idea. The reviews are all over the place. I'm seeing good scores, really bad scores, middle of the road scores, kind of all over. It seems like if you're a big fan of RoboCop, you're like, this is a dream come true, and everybody else is like, this game doesn't really feel necessary or all that good. That's a general vibe I got when I was looking at the reviews. I'm like, man, some people are really coming out of their skin for this thing. And then other people are like, this game's terrible. It's a bit of a mixed bag. It's a bit of a mixed bag. If I paid out the nose for a driving rig and Sony or Microsoft suddenly made, and by fiat made my entire rig worthless, I'm telling you, that would be the final straw. Well, that's the question, isn't it? That's the question. What does this do to Xbox in the market from the consumer's perspective? Does this make them more approachable and better? Does this make them more, it's a misnomer, but does it make them more consumer friendly and pro-consumer? Maybe. If it gives people a false sense of like, oh, they're going to stop cheating. Now, if they do this and they successfully stop the Cronus and the Zim and they wipe out an entire segment of cheaters on console, I could see people being like, this is worth it. If they do this and you boot up and you're playing Call of Duty and it's clear there are still people out there with Cronus and with Zim, there's videos of people being like, yeah, I'm still doing it. Here's a video. It still works. If that is the result of this, I think a lot of people are going to say, what the frick was that for? Why'd y'all do that? You just made it so people without arms can't use their quad sticks, and you made it to where people can't use other accessibility controller options. Maybe they're just motor impaired and they have a custom controller, or people that just like their fighting joystick or their steering wheel. Eugene says, I am all for Xbox driving people away from their platform. Creature says, I see this as a step toward that, not the end solution. So, Creature, you think they're doing this to get to the point where they do block the Cronus and the Zim. I absolutely abhor cheaters and will laugh all day if a bunch of kids get kicked in mass. But as you said, legit players are likely to get kicked and cheating will continue. Lose-lose. Omar says, I'm late, but I think it depends on whether they are selective. Zen controllers have ruined sport games like 2K. It completely undermines playing defense whatsoever. Obviously, microtransactions ruined it more than anything else. Sure. It doesn't matter if Xbox does it and I still have to play against PlayStation players who use it. That's an excellent point, Ryder. I brought that up on the show open. I was like, listen, with crossplay, does this really matter? I guess you go in and turn off crossplay and only play against Xbox players? Doesn't that defeat one of the greatest benefits of crossplay is that when you turn it on, matchmaking goes significantly faster? You're able to get into matches quicker. You're able to play with your buddies on PlayStation, right? If you're playing with all these people in blended lobbies and it's like, nah, man, if we play blended lobbies, we're well, I don't want to play against PlayStation, man. All those people over there using those Cronus and those Zims, they're not blocking them. The biggest use of Zim and Cronus is on PC. Again, then I don't understand the point of this. I'm curious about keyboard and mouse. Only one or two officially licensed exist. I believe both are previous gen. To allow mouse and keyboard users to get aim assist. Oh, right. They basically trick the computer into thinking that their mouse is a controller. Creature says, I think it's multiple purpose. They want to control and profit from their first-party stuff, but I do think it's a step towards stopping cheat devices. NBA 2K is unplayable. It's infested. ADJC says, I'll find it interesting when Xbox banning non-Xbox branded controllers ends up backfiring and players leaving Xbox to go to PC or PlayStation. That's the larger question, though, isn't it, ADJC? You just touched on the larger question. Are they going to do this with PC? You can play Xbox games right now on your PC. You go through the Xbox store. If you go through the Xbox store, are they going to do the same thing? Are they going to have a list of accessories that you can or can't use? What about mobile? Mobile has all kinds of third-party accessories for controllers alone. They're going to block those? If they, let's say that their plan is, I think this is their plan. They all but said this in one of the documents. They want their own, mobile storefront. They'll do it through the cloud. You'll be playing games directly through them. Their ecosystem will essentially be everywhere. Smart televisions, mobile, and PC. Do you think they're going to start trying to control it there? And if they don't try to control it on mobile and PC, won't Xbox console users be like, why are we being singled out here? What's the point? What's the point of this? Thrifty says Creature's been bad the past couple of entries. Can somebody in chat, please, who knows summarize for me how a Zen controller breaks a sports game? Derek is asking how a Zen controller breaks a sports game. Is it the turbo? I don't know. I'm asking too. I'm not familiar with that. I don't play sports games. ADJC says, as much as I like Xbox games as well, them going to such a degree doesn't seem sound. Akiro says, if you own an Xbox, you're not allowed to have friends with a PlayStation. Sports games have been bad for almost 10 years. Yeah, if you can get past the pay to win, you got to face, according to the guys in chat, if you can get past the pay to win, you got to deal with cheaters. That's always going to be an issue. I can understand them doing this if at the same time they launched a bunch of accessibility and controller alternatives. I think it's just short-sighted. Yeah, but MASH, what would that look like? Let's imagine Rocky No Hands is an Xbox guy. Okay, because I guarantee you there are people right now with the Quadstick controller, the controller you control with your mouth. I guarantee you there's a bunch of them on Xbox. Okay, imagine going to them and being like, "Yeah, you invested probably close to $1,000 in your setup, and it's not going to work anymore. But we have our own device that we'll sell you." Like, what? Yo, what's good, Pugs? The Yoda set in the background, Chef's Kiss. Yeah, my daughter and I finished that. We are going to start putting our content back up again on the Brick Abbey. In obviously it'll be spaced out, but I'll be doing videos. I'll be doing videos with my kiddos. You can't see them; you can just hear them. Creature says in NBA 2K you have to time your shot. You can tune a Zen to auto time so you never miss no matter what. There you go. There's your answer, Derek. That's how it works. I saw a lot of chatter about the Cronus Zen can defeat rifle kick and thus makes it easy to hit rapid fire shots. Yeah, I mean there are mods out there I've seen where they remove all recoil, so your gun just like it just stays flat. If this was driven by the purchase of Activision and tackling cheaters, then developers will eventually push Sony to also do this, since they're the biggest population. If this will only prevent those on Xbox. You make a great point. Not sure how to spin this positively. I initially heard this and was like, this is great. I was like, this is great, man. Xbox is going to be blocking the cheaters. And then we looked into it and I was like, wait a minute. You're telling me that the Cronus and the Zim won't even be blocked? Maybe they will eventually, but right now, research indicates that the Cronus and the Zim avoid detection. So they don't even, it's like the Xbox doesn't even know. They basically just spoof a license. Basically, in layman's terms, the Cronus and the Zim put on a mask. And they're like, sorry, we only let people in with a pair of glasses and a mustache. And they just put on that mask. And they're like, yep, I got my glasses and my mustache. And they get in. Can the Xbox is like, yeah, this is a licensed accessory. And the Cronus and the Zim are like chuckling. They're like, we're pretending to be a licensed accessory. That's the issue. The Wingman is used by some of these accessibility controllers and the fighting joysticks and the steering wheels and stuff. I don't think it will happen to PlayStation. Sony owns EVO, and a bunch of the players use the Wingman to enable hitbox on PlayStation 5. Isn't the simplest explanation they want licensing fees? Okay, let's take that. Zubair. Let's say they want the licensing fees. Do they really think they're going to get that many that it's worth the negative PR? Thinking you can stop an adapter from adapting is effing hilarious, says Eugene. Like, just how much do they think they're going to get from licenses? Like, the bad PR? Really? Brutal says, Lono, I'd say think long-term. Xbox usually wins these crazy crusades. Remember, the Xbox One days, always online, heavy digital. Now look at your gaming and library compared to last gen. I do think it's funny that they were so ahead of the curve that it bent back and smacked them in the face. Fat Lump with a VIP, thank you so much. If you guys are enjoying the show, we're about an hour in. Do me a favor, smash that like button, and it is free to subscribe to the channel. Subscribing doesn't cost anything, but we do offer membership. You can help us push the member goal. Once we hit 25, I give 5. You don't have to wait around for a gifted. You can sign up on your own. That gets you into extra content as well as our members-only Discord. We also have the coffee if you're a coffee drinker. This is not a sponsor. It's Reforge Roast. It is property of Reforge Gaming. So you can buy that, light roast and a dark roast. All of those are ways to support the channel. If you're like, I can't do a membership or coffee or a sponsorship or anything like that, that's totally fine. Smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. All of those things help out. So as far as what they're doing here, and like, are they actually going to stop anything? Are they going to move toward what Brutal Gear is saying? The idea that, like, Fat Lump gifts one. He's like, listen, I'm a VIP, but I can pay it forward and spread it around here. And he takes us to 3 members on the day. Thank you so much, Fat Lump. If you guys ever get a gifted membership, be sure to thank the person that gave it to you. And if you're like, hey, I can afford my own membership, well, then pay it forward and gift one to somebody else. That would be spectacular. Oh, they upped the chat now. I can do member gifting right here. I don't have to piggyback anymore. Concord sent me a set for free to put together to replicate a photo of the plane I took. Oh, that's dope, Pugs. Stephen Wade says, Xbox is making controllers for TV. The controller is the new console. Thank you so much for the 5 spot. Right, that's sort of piggybacking on what Brutal Gear was saying. And I said, Xbox was kind of ahead of the curve. When they come out and they're like, yeah, always online. And everyone's like, are you crazy? And now we're like, everybody requires online. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like they saw where everything was going, and the community and the PR just backfired on them. Joker Quinn with a gifted member. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn and DK Beggar, man. Always so faithful with those single gifteds. We greatly appreciate you guys doing that. Always moving that line. Always moving that needle. Appreciate you very, very much. I have no comments on the topic. I only buy first-party controllers. Well, like what Stephen Wade is saying, they had that internal document. They were like, not Satya Nadella was like, let's just have one thing. Everybody just buys this thing. And he said, let's try making a controller. That's the thing everybody buys, right? I don't know if that's why they're doing this. Are they trying to make it to where there's like this very clear accessory offer? Again, what are you actually blocking? Is the market for third-party Xbox controllers that big that you're going to get license money, or you're going to shut down those sales? Thrifty says, I agree, but if the company doesn't offer a product like what a third-party company does, then there shouldn't be an issue with licensing or anything like that. Yeah. Eugene says, you're missing the 30,000-foot view. Cloud platform relies totally on a controller to access it. They want to control that, or any controller with Bluetooth can access it. So this is like exactly what Stephen Wade hinted at. And they won't sell their custom watermelon and blue sparkle controllers. But like I just said, come on. Is the market that big for third party controllers? Like, are they really going to see a huge influx then of being like, oh yeah, we really shut down the third-party controller market? That doesn't even make any sense. Now, I could be completely ignorant here. Is the third-party, aftermarket controller, economy that big? This is not about cheating. It certainly doesn't feel that way. I thought that's what it was about. I try to be positive. I opened up my monologue. I was like, this seems like a good decision to me. This seems like a good decision. And y'all are convincing me that it isn't. That it's not about the money. Well, it is about the money. It's not what the Joker says, the opposite. Rob V with the layup gets us to 5 members. We'll see if any of the big boys are lurking in the shadows today and they drop a 20 bomb. That 5 out of 25 is tantalizing. We got some very, very generous people here. This last Friday was crazy. We could have another one here to end out October. It's the last day of the month. Wouldn't you just argue that the best controller on cloud connects directly to Wi-Fi anyway? You could market that easily as the lower latency device. Eugene just found a controller called Easy SMX Wired Gaming Controller. It's got almost 10,000 reviews on Amazon. It's $20. You can have one shipped. It'll be at your house tomorrow. Typical Sony pony, wanting people to be able to use whatever controller they want. I thought this was like, oh yeah, man, Xbox is doing the right thing here. They're doing the right thing. They're trying to block cheaters. Now this one is licensed. A Power A enhanced wired controller for the Xbox Series. It has 44,000 reviews and it's licensed. Okay. Even if Microsoft came out and detailed why they did this to tackle cheaters, there would still be people who claim it's about the money. Homie, somebody with the name Homie gifts a member and takes the count to 6. It goes to CR. Thank you so much for doing that, Homie. OceanGate used third-party controllers to visit the Titanic. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. That was a scandal. It probably was the controller's fault. Looking for a wireless series controller with a D-pad that doesn't wake up the dead when used. What do you mean? Looking for a wireless series controller with a D-pad that doesn't wake up the dead when used? What are you doing? Are you hitting the controller? Power A sells those controllers so cheap, there's no way the licensing can be that expensive, especially on a $700 plus accessibility offer or something. That's my question. What is the process to get licensure? Like, why aren't companies doing it? Power A is selling their wired controller for $29 on Amazon. Now, the one that's not licensed is on there for $19, so it is $10 cheaper. It's loud? The clicking noises? What are you playing in like a den of sleeping animals? Why does that... Is it really that loud? I have one right here. I have an Xbox controller. Okay. All right, hang on. It is pretty clicky. Oh, wow, I've never noticed that. It is quite a bit louder. Even the joysticks. Even when the joysticks hit the side, you can, like, hear it. I've never noticed that. It's... like, pretend it's way louder than it is, you know? It's so loud. I can't hear you. I'm playing, Mom. My buttons, they're loud. Let me finish. It's like I'm holding a vacuum cleaner. It's extremely loud. You get out the PlayStation, you're like, oh, that's so much better. It's not that loud, but I've never noticed it. It's really clicky. Really loud. Jive Turkey Monster comes in with a gifted membership, takes us to 7. Thank you very much. Now you'll never be able to not notice it. I've had people say that before. I had a guy say that like a week ago. He's like, yeah, the Xbox controller is really loud. I thought he was crazy. I was like, maybe he just has weird hearing, and like that particular octave of click just like is banging on his eardrum. I was like, what are you talking about? How do you post manufacturing give something a license? That stuff is typically done when manufactured. Yeah, I don't know, Eugene. I have more questions than answers. I don't know the solution here. Lono, I imagine a cloud-based controller system design allowing third parties. The only third-party controller sold will be the cheating one. Way worse than Zim ever was. Yo, what's good, Vapor? What the heck did I open this to? Yeah, controllers being loud. Having owned a Power A controller, they just feel cheaply made. I've never used aftermarket controllers, right? I just, when you're rich, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding you. I feel like I buy them. I do. I got a red one, I got a teal one, and a black one. All from Target, all Xbox brand, and they all have stick drift. They got stick drift faster than I've ever gotten stick drift before, and I don't know why. I don't get it. I know that the stick manufacturers, I know that it's the same stick manufacturer, but I don't have stick drift on any of my Nintendo Switch controllers. I don't have stick drift on any of my DualSense. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know. I have no idea. I just now like the video for that. Yeah, let's get 300 likes on the video, guys. Come on. We've had roughly 600 viewers this entire time. Make sure and smash that like button. Helps us out. How many third-party controllers does PlayStation have out of curiosity? I know of Scuff, Razer, and Victrix. Yeah, all those are licensed, though. Scuff and Razer are. I'm not familiar with the third one you named, but Scuff and Razer, they're licensed. I use a Power A wired on my PC with emulators, and honestly, it isn't bad. Doesn't have that first-party quality feel, but we're a long way past the Mad Catz rubber garbage of the PlayStation 1. I have a third-party Xbox controller from like 7 years ago, and it still works perfectly fine, says Murph. You're harder on your Xbox controllers? No, I'm not. They actually don't get used as often. What, you think I like go to play an Xbox game and I'm just like, stupid Xbox. I hate the fact that I have to play on an Xbox. Grr, grr, grr. Like, what? You honestly think that's what I'm doing? Like, I treat my electronics very, very gently and very well. They're never face down. They never get dropped. I mean, look at the condition other than being dusty, okay? A little dusty because it's been sitting over there. But look at the condition that this controller is in. Like, look at that. No scuffs, no scratches, no cracks, no drops. I treat my electronics very, very well. They always go on, like, I have like a little section over by my one television where all my controllers sit. They're never on the ground. They're never sitting on the couch. You know? Toshibo gifts a member. And it goes to Vapor. Good to see you, Vapor. Good to see you getting a membership. Lono uses controllers like hammers. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with my controller. I was hanging up a picture the other day. I was slamming this to put the nail in the wall. I don't know. Virus Phantom with a $5 super chat tip. It would stop cheaters from using third-party software devices. Now, here's the thing. People are subconsciously harder on the Xbox controllers because the PS5 controller feels like it's going to fall apart when you pick it up. I mean, it might feel like it's going to fall apart when you pick it up because, you know, just the pure rage at how much better the games are, you know? You're like shaking. You're like, I'm going to break this thing. Too much rage. Like, that might be why. I don't know. I feel like this is a really sturdy controller. He's a big Xbox guy. I'm just poking fun at him. Jiminy Christmas. The 360 controller was fire. Yeah, the 360 controller was like the Nokia phone of controllers. You could frickin' throw that thing across a room, and it was like, it's still good? The Xbox 360 controller will always be the best. I hated the PlayStation 4 controller. It was awful. I actually have a Cronus somewhere in the house because I used Xbox controllers on my PS4. I did. That's how much I did not like the PS4 controller. You know? Somebody's asking about it stopping. No, I'm sorry. The recent Super Chat tip mentioned stopping the cheating software. Here's the thing, Virus. Windows Central is reporting that Zim and the Cronus, which are the primary means that people cheat on console, they're not being detected by this. Because that's one of the challenges of the Zim and the Cronus. They're not detectable. They can basically spoof, okay? They can basically spoof and pretend to be a licensed controller, if that makes sense. I should clarify, the third-party controller I have is the Xbox One style, I think. I don't recall. Now I don't know what we're even saying. I should clarify, but after clarifying, you're saying, I think, I don't recall. All right, Murph, listen, man, it's 11 in the morning, bro. It's not 5 o'clock somewhere. Quit getting drunk and typing in my Discord. I don't even know what you're saying, bro. The more moving parts they add in those controllers, the more problems they're going to have. I'm at work. I can't remember what happened yesterday. The working man's memories. Like, I don't even know what day it is, okay? I just know I'm at work. That's all I know. I know that until it's time to go home. Everything else is meaningless. I wish more companies will eventually use the Hall effect. Well, that was one of the things I brought up in the show open. Are we looking at sort of the explosion of the third-party Hall effect controllers? Are they dead in the water on Xbox? Because are they licensed? I don't know. You woke up on a Monday and thought it was Sunday? Oh, gosh. That might be the beginnings of dementia, but seriously, that's the worst thing ever. I'm just kidding. Gifted member from Raymond coming in, taking us to 9. Thank you so much, sir. Getting us almost halfway there. I appreciate the generosity, dude. Single gift. It's all the way there. Love it. Doesn't sound like it work if in a YouTube chat. Well, he's in the Discord. I don't see how any Xbox player can get stick drift on their controller when there's no good games to use the controllers. Stop, dude. There's plenty, man. There's plenty. They play each of those Game Pass games, you know, for about as long as I played Baldur's Gate 3. People give me so much grief about that. I'm like, I'm really busy. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm married with 2 kids. Sorry, everybody. I know I just worked for like 6 hours and then plan the next day's show for another 2 hours, live streaming and recording videos. Sorry, kids. Dad's got to take dinner downstairs so he can play video games. Yeah, I'll just miss your childhood, you know. Papa never came to any of my soccer games or sports games. He was busy playing video games because he had to chase trophies. Bunch of frickin' weirdos. PlayStation controller won't get stick drift when the game is over after 15 hours. Listen. I'm going to tell you right now. One of the reasons I don't get stick drift on my DualSense controller is because these movie games, I don't really have to touch the joystick, you know? It's fantastic. I watch a couple cinematics. I'm like, okay, it's time to hit square. And I hit square, and then a building explodes, and then I wait, and then it's time to hit X, you know, and then the boss dies, and then roll credits, and I'm like, whew. Don't got to worry about stick drift here, baby. All these movie games. Clip that mother. 2 out of 3 DualSense have drifted on me. Third one is a month old, so I should be good for a few months. I should be good for a few months. I love that. I'm on my 7th controller. Should be good for a couple afternoons. You know, should last me a while. Your controller's clean? Yeah, man. I take good care of my controllers. That's why stick drift is so frustrating. Aaron Claypool with a gifted member. Thank you so much. There we go. 15 hours of Gran Turismo 7. I changed my DualSense twice. For half a second, I thought that said charged. And I'm like, are you made out of electricity? What? Are you made out of electricity? It's like, I played Gran Turismo 7 for 1,500 hours, and I only charged my DualSense twice. I feel like you might be the first villain, you know, from Spider-Man to come to life, you know? You're just made out of electricity. I just power it with my fingers, you know? Last couple dates haven't ended so well, but other than that, my life's going pretty good. Eugene found me out. Yeah, stop. What are y'all doing to your controllers? Stop panic pushing R3. Your controllers are clean. Maybe he washes his hands. I actually do wash my hands. I wash my hands, I think, a little too much because in the winter they get like super dry. I've had to cut back. Because like I get like if I touch anything that I'm like, ugh, you know? You know what? You want to know what my least favorite thing to get on my hands is? Pause. Is honey. My son loves these honey and what is it? It's honey and peanut butter, but then there's another thing, oat butter. These honey and oat butter sandwiches. Buddy, if I get honey on my hand, I'm instantly frustrated. I'm like, gah, why? It's like glue. It's like, how do we eat this? That's the real question. How does this go into my body and not kill me? You know, just like closes everything up. And you're like, what are you doing? I'm just having my honey sandwich. It's hard to breathe for a little bit. You know, it's like, how do we eat and consume it? It's so sticky and gross. I hate sticky anything. Stickiness on like the edge of a table, and like you put your arm against the edge of the table and like your arm slightly sticks. I'm done. Let's just go eat somewhere else. I don't want to eat here anymore, you know? This little thing right here is what will tell you that Daddy Phil kissed it with Xbox approval. This is the cert stamp saying Xbox approved our product and we passed the approval test. All right, let me ask y'all something. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. You know, everybody's going to be hating on Xbox for this, okay? Everybody's going to be hating on Xbox for this, okay? Like, if this controller here can be approved, okay? If this thing can be approved, designed for Xbox, right? It's got this little stamp. If this can get approval and licensure, then your $700 accessibility controller, you know, that people can play with their mouth, I'm pretty sure you can go through the proper process and get licensure. Like, I'm pretty sure. I just have, you know, just my gut instinct, right, is this Tonka truck Little Tykes controller got approved. I think you can get your accessibility controller approved for licensure. Jiminy frickin' Christmas. Like, is that the issue? Is Xbox like, listen, y'all have been doing this and not going through the proper procedures, and we would like you to go through the proper procedures. So if you want your devices to work, then, you know, come to us. That controller is hideous. Hammerfist says, looks like a Little Tykes controller. Jinx. You got an affiliate link for that Hyperkin? Use code Lono. I have no idea where to buy it. I've never used one, you know? That's like the controller you give your baby when you want the baby to think they're playing the video game. The day before final trailer premieres in 26 hours. I'll be there with bells on. I'll be there with bells on. I can't wait to watch that trailer of the day before. I like how they're using the name again. I thought the name was wrapped up in a copyright dispute and we had to take down all of our videos, and yet somehow you're still using the name. Yeah, I will be there with freaking bells on. Fantastic. Let's just peruse your channel here. Let's just peruse it. Yeah, do you remember when they told everybody we can't use the name the day before anymore because of the copyright dispute? That's why our videos got taken down. Well, here we are. I can't wait. I'll be there. I will be there with bells on. I can't wait to see this. This is going to be the biggest gaming event of 2023 right here. Can't wait. They were changing the name to Day World. I used to list all of the times that they've lied, and it's gotten to be so many, I've just given up on listing it, you know? I used to have the bullet list of lies memorized. Lono, I'm sitting here remembering our Reforge community member who kept popping the joysticks out of his controller. What's that poor guy gonna do? I would actually pay cash money to see him playing. I want to know what's he doing. Like, he said, I just want you to look at this controller. He said he was popping the joysticks out of here. Now, I don't know what kind of, like, one finger death punch strength he, like, was he hitting it with his palm? Like, was he practicing? You know, he's like, hey, hey, hey. Like, is that how he's playing? Like, what's he doing? Is he putting the controller upside down and rubbing it back and forth? Like, is that how he moves around? Like, how are you popping this out? I want to see a picture of it popped out. I want to see the aftermath, the destruction. What are you doing to your controller? Probably a meth head. He's got a he's got a mugshot somewhere, and he's just holding the controller in the mugshot, just looking haggard, you know, and it's just missing those joysticks. Like, why is that in the mugshot? He wouldn't let go. He had a death grip on it. Sarge, I couldn't get the controller out of his hand. So we had a lot more guys to process, so we just took the picture. So just popping joysticks out of controllers, you know? Stay away from that guy. Who's that? I can't think of a good nickname. I tried like on the fly to think of a good nickname. You know, he's out there on the yard. The difference with that one controller is there's going to be volume. Hyperkin can mass produce those. The license is going to be cheaper per unit. Beats his controller like it owes him money. Okay, so what you're saying to me, Alapark, is, I mean, I was kind of teasing and making fun of that controller, but I'm genuinely curious. Why would... You're saying a controller like that, no problem. They mass produce them. The license is going to be cheaper per unit. And the volume on a quad stick, right? If we go to I'll just show you guys the quad stick. It's actually pretty cool. Quadstick.com. Oh, hang on a second. My dark mode is throwing off their website. Okay. So this is the quad stick, a game controller for quadriplegics, and I don't know if they feature Rocky in any of this footage, but they're showing guys playing. Obviously some people are in different positions, laying positions, sitting positions, and using it and being able to play their games. So, multiple different types. Okay. And then they have the arm kit, right? The magic arm kit, the mounting arm kit, flexible mounting arm kit, right? And then, giving you the measurements here. Some accessories, okay? Now, you can see here, this is Brook Wingman. This is the XB2 converter. This might not be the XB2. That might be an old picture. The XB2 will no longer work. Will no longer work according to this update. Okay. So here it is. This is what they recommend. And this allows you to connect the controller to it. Now, the real issue that's frustrating, obviously, is if you want to buy one of these bad boys, they're in the 500 range. By the time you get your mounting kit, you're in the 700 range. Any other accessories that you might want, and then a $50 purchase roughly for the Wingman converter. So by the time it's all said and done, okay, the folks that have to use a controller like this are spending about $1,000 easily. By the time you get the taxes, shipping, get it all set up, they're spending close to $1,000. And this will no longer work with an Xbox because of the update. Now that's the question we've been having: is you're selling this for that much money. You're selling this for 550 USD. What would licensure look like? What would it do to your margins? What would it do to the price of this? Would the price have to go up by like $25 or something like that? Because obviously, typically when stuff like that happens, I got to put the dark mode back on. Good golly. I feel like I'm glowing. So that's the question. Is Quadstick avoiding an easy solution to save money? Okay. Is that what they're doing? Is Xbox doing this in order to oh yeah, we're going to push everybody to our accessory so we can make money? Hey, y'all, if you've been enjoying the stream for the last hour and a half, let's do a couple of things while we're having this discussion. Let's roll the likes over to 300. If you want to talk in the chat and contribute to the conversation, hit subscribe. And then if you want to give some members or become a member, be sure to do that. And right now we're looking at the quad stick. We're looking at the price of the device and just asking, is the company avoiding licensure for a particular reason? What exactly is going on? These are controllers for people with disabilities, for sure. They either are missing both arms, an arm. Maybe they don't have the use of their arms. Maybe they have their arms, they can't use them. Maybe they have their arms and they have very limited motor function. There's all sorts of different varying degrees as to why somebody might want to get that controller in particular. Especially if that company isn't trying to be super profitable and provide them at cost. It's an unnecessary inflation. Vapor gifts a member and pays it forward. He got one earlier and he says, listen, I'm going to pay it forward to somebody else. Thank you so much for doing that. Vapor, appreciate you, dude. The Quadstick is featured on the Xbox Adaptive Controller site. That'd be so dumb if they don't allow that to work. Are you serious? Hang on a second. The Xbox Adaptive Controller. And a little member train going on here. DK Bager jumps on and tag teams with Vapor. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go to the Xbox Adaptive Controller. All right. Let's take a peek here. What we got going on. Okay. All right. Game your way. Works with the range of devices. That right there is what, isn't that from the Quadstick website? This right here? I thought we saw the thing on in his left hand. I thought we saw that on the Quadstick website. Now I'm really confused. That's right there. They're telling you, they're directing you to this, and you can't use this. They're gonna, I'm telling you, they're gonna make an update. There's no way. It takes you right to their website to buy one. Now, can they plug this in? Can they plug that into the Xbox Adaptive Controller? And does that solve this entire problem? It's not the same one? It took me right... No. Quadstick FPS game controller. This is the one we were just looking at for $549. What do you mean? What's different about this one? We just looked at this one a moment ago. Does this interface directly with the Xbox? Oh. No, a PS5 or Xbox console requires an adapter. The recommended adapter is the Wingman. Look at the colors and stuff. It depends on how many quad sticks they've actually sold. If the licensing fee is a flat rate from Microsoft of, say, 10,000 and they sold 1,000 units, it would only add an extra 10. Maybe an old model? It's not an old model. This is the model. Look, I'm on quadstick.com. Quadstick.com shop. The FPS is right here. This is like the Big Daddy. This is the one. It's got the 4 spots to blow into. This is the one. You go here, $549. When I come directly from Xbox website and I click Learn More, this is the one that it brings me to. I'm switching between tabs here. It's the exact same one. This one requires an adapter for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox. A PS5 or Xbox controller. Now, you can connect right into a PS4, PS3, Nintendo Switch, PC, or Mac computer, but for some reason, the PS5 and the Xbox. And then they recommend the Brook Wingman, which they just disabled. It doesn't make any sense. Why is Xbox officially promoting this? I feel like they're going to have to make an adjustment. That doesn't make any sense. Your own website is encouraging people to go buy a Quadstick FPS controller, and the controller itself says, yeah, you need the Brook Wingman, and you guys just disabled the Wingman. That doesn't even logically add up. somebody's got wires crossed somewhere. Somebody's got wires crossed somewhere. This doesn't seem like it's going to stick. I feel like they're trying to do something very specific, and they've got to go in and make an adjustment and be like, "Oh, well, you know, certain devices will still work." Or Xbox is going to make their own adapter. Listen, if they make their own adapter and, you know, quadriplegics can like submit a form and get one sent to them for free, and they can keep on keeping on with their device, you know, that's probably best case scenario if they're going to launch their own adapter and then, you know, send it to the people that you know, or make them buy another one for $50 seems kind of ridiculous. Microsoft advertises the product. They could make a legit Quadstick end user just register their purchase with Xbox so those accounts don't get the adapter ban. Right. I had a friend with cerebral palsy. He played games. Has to be a tough blow to people. The way he finessed the controller back in the day. I trust that in the coming days or weeks they will fix this. Right? Lono is early live, isn't he? No, time change in different parts of the world is probably throwing you off. It's Xbox, enough said. Big company, left hand, doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Yeah, maybe. I mean, they had a spokesperson respond. They replied. Like, Windows Central had like a lengthy quote about it. And it was like, this is what we're doing. I was like, okay. The PR optics on this will be terrible. I'm highly skeptical that isn't just weeks at most until it gets reversed or updated. My recommendation in the show open was delay it, okay, and figure out what you're going to do. Just delay it and be like, okay, you know, we're going to make adjustments here to the plan. We're not going to roll this out right away. If you delay it, then you're able to like, okay, wait, what are we doing here? We're stopping people. Like, do you understand what this looks like? Like, we're literally stopping people from using accessibility controllers after promoting one. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Maybe it was that Xbox announced this. Now they'll backtrack. They didn't announce this. It started happening to people, and they basically responded to an article. It was like the pictures started making the rounds, and people were like, I got this weird error or whatever. And then Windows Central writes an article, and then they posted multiple updates, and one of the updates was, hey, they responded. They basically said that this is something that they're doing going forward, you know, because using third-party stuff can compromise your experience. We currently have 2,975 on the member count. You guys are maintaining 3,000 members going into November. That's spectacular. We'll have some new goals for you guys tomorrow, being November 1st. It is the last day of the month. And you guys did unlock all of the things we had set for October. So thank you so much for that. Look, you can look forward to that. The previous Fright Night was hilarious. We played Alan Wake 2. And this Friday night will be a different game. They really just did it and then started the after-the-fact explanations. Soon to be apologies. Then we'll see how far in full-on backpedaling they go. Eugene says, once they allow the adapter to work, any unlicensed controller can then work. Right, as soon as you allow that adapter, you can use whatever you want. Lono has a fever. The man said he trusts Xbox to fix it. Listen, I'm hard on them and I'm critical on them, but this is something that they were on the forefront of. Accessibility controllers was something they led the charge with, and for them to be not just promoting greater accessibility in gaming for users who are at some level motor impaired, then you're going to lead that charge and you're going to recommend a controller that you just inadvertently shut off. They will fix this. There's no way. I don't believe they're just going to sit by and be like, sorry, that's just the way that it goes. You know, I know our website tells you to go buy that controller, but it's not going to work because reasons. Like that, there's no way. After reading the article from The Verge, it doesn't look like it's targeting accessibility devices. It seems more like Cronus devices. Fillmore, that's the issue. Windows Central wrote on this and said the challenge and the difficulty there is that Cronus and Zim are they don't get detected. So it's like you're not even, those are the lead culprits with cheating. If someone's going to cheat on console, they're going to use a Cronus or a Zim. That's what they're going to use. And if that's what they're using, that thing can basically spoof and trick and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a licensed piece of equipment," and it'll just get past the check. You know what I mean? Somebody messed this up and there's collateral damage. Surely they will fix it. My guess would be, if I had to theorize what happened in like the best light possible, they had a meeting with somebody, or they have been meeting with somebody over there at Call of Duty. And somebody over there was like, "Listen, all year long, we've been trying to detect and block the Zim and the Cronus. We need a huge, broad spectrum ban on these devices. It would make our lives so much easier." And I don't know how fast something like that gets up the food chain and then executed upon and then pushed out. But that to me feels like the best look at this is they said, "Listen, we own Call of Duty now. We gotta execute on these decisions to block these devices because it's a nightmare for the devs, and we now own Call of Duty. We can't be sitting idly by, not doing the work." Well, like what Eugene is saying, it's not about Cronus, Zim, and Brook adapters. Brook just got caught in the crossfire. They'll have to license Brook. Maybe the goal is to get the adapter users to register, or a compromise of registration list of adapter users, allowing them to have a small list of users. Yeah, I don't know. If they're if they're trying to stop cheating, I was like, this is a good decision. This is exactly what you should be doing. You should be blocking these devices. The bad is they inadvertently swept up a bunch of like really, really useful devices and adapters and controllers that people like to use. And, you know, I know Respawn Dev, they have no way to detect the adapter cheaters either. They've been trying to use machine learning, but it's a big task. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Greg. They have a whole accessibility program, and their own website says, "Hey, like, go buy this controller." Microsoft cares so much about cheating. This can't be true. I've lived for the past 40 plus years. I think your posture towards cheating probably changes when you're suddenly the property owner. Right? When you suddenly own the property and you get to look behind the curtain and you're like, "Good golly, this is an epidemic." And they're like, "Oh, you have no idea. The cheating's terrible." Gears of War creator Cliff Bleszinski says that the franchise could do with a God of War style reboot. "I've always said Phil Spencer has my number. I'm happy to consult." I agree with him. I agree with Cliff. I think you could make Gears of War just... You could do a lot with that franchise. I think just doing another one is probably not the right call. I liked Gears 5 a lot, actually. I did. I really liked it. A lot of people did not understand why I liked it so much, but I thought it was quite good. You see PS5 Cloud's available right now? Yeah, I wanted to check my playtime in Hogwarts Legacy last night because I had people saying, I had people in my mentions saying that Hogwarts Legacy deserves Game of the Year. You know, you didn't even beat the game. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I was somewhere in the 30 hours when I stopped playing that game. I hit 31 hours. And I literally sat on my couch and played other new games that come out because I was testing them and getting things ready for other coverage like Redfall. I was actively playing Redfall while my wife was playing Hogwarts on the other TV. So I got to see the culmination of the story literally in the same room with the person playing. And I put in 31 hours. Like, trophy checkers have the weirdest energy I think I've ever seen. Like, you can't say Hogwarts won't get Game of the Year. You didn't beat it. What? I didn't beat Redfall either, and I know it's not winning any awards. I put 31 hours into Hogwarts. This is a great game. It's not going to get nominated for Game of the Year. Ban third-party accessories because Microsoft wanted us to buy their products and use Microsoft products only. I mean, obviously, that's what this looks like. If we just take the most simplest explanation possible, this has nothing to do with cheaters. This has nothing to do with protecting the integrity of games. This is Microsoft saying, we want to sell our own accessories. And you know what's funny is if that's the reason, I don't fault them at all. Now, obviously, they're going to tick a lot of people off if they hold to their guns and they stick to this, right? If they hold to their guns and they stick to this, you're going to tick a lot of people off. You're going to drive a lot of people away from your platform. Fighting game players, racing game players, accessibility controller users are going to say, I guess I'll go to PC and PlayStation then because that's where I can use my stuff. Yes, Scuff is licensed. Scuff is a licensed controller. You don't have to worry about that, Jake. Like, if that's the reason they're doing this, then, you know, okay. Like, I get, like, I cannot fault a company for saying, we're closing our system. You can only use our accessories. I've defended other companies doing that before. I'm being consistent. I don't have a problem with the company doing that. If that's a decision they want to make, that's their prerogative. There's no ethical or moral dilemma here. Now, you might be able to argue rather compellingly that there is an ethical and moral dilemma when you actively promote a controller that you just made stop working. Somebody could go to Xbox and say, I am a quadriplegic. I ordered the Quadstick FPS controller at your recommendation on your website. I paid almost $1,000 to get all this set up, and you just turned my controller off. That, I think, is a compelling case. That is probably the most compelling case. To say, listen, I spent this money. I did this at your recommendation. So fix it. You know? Sorry I'm in and out, but I've seen this every time Apple has changed a connector on their devices. People complain and then they buy the new connectors. Android users point and laugh. Yeah. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Loved Hogwarts personally. I'd love to see Assassin's Creed Mirage get it over Legacy. Really? I mean, Mirage isn't going to get a Game of the Year nomination, but it might land in some other categories. If you guys are just tuning in, it became known that Xbox was blocking unlicensed third-party accessories. And I initially thought this is all about stopping cheaters. The more we've looked at this, the more this seems like something else might be going on, especially when they stopped the use of a controller that they recommended, because the controller that they recommended for quadriplegics uses an adapter. So not really sure what their end game here is. We theorized, they're going for a closed system. Does that mean they're going to go for a closed ecosystem? Are they going to try and control what controllers you use on a mobile device? Are they going to try to control what controllers or what accessories you can use on a PC if you use their storefront? That's a really fast track to turn off the PC users that I think they're already going to struggle to capture. Creature says, by forcing a license, don't they have to get a better look at these devices and see what the roadblock for abusing them should be or could be? I mean, that would obviously be the concern. The concern would be, if I want to use the quad stick controller, the controller for quadriplegics that you use with your mouth, if I want to use that, right? Not me, I'm speaking generally. If I'm a person that needs it, wants it, is going to get it, it necessitates using an adapter. And the adapter is the problem, because the adapter allows people to plug whatever they want into the Xbox. So what they'd have to do is They'd have to license the Quadstick to interface directly with the Xbox and bypass the adapter, and make that process rather smooth and easy for the manufacturer and the company, so that these people can continue using the controller that you recommended they buy. They don't have to recommend something perpetually. They can stop recommending it on their website. Yeah, but I would say that there's a level of imperative there. You told me, in your effort to make gaming more accessible, you told me to go buy this controller. I went and bought this controller, and now you're shutting it off. Well, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. At your recommendation, some of these people spent anywhere from $700 to $1,000 getting themselves set up with the controller that you just shut off. I typically don't argue the morals and the ethics of business, because I think people invoke moral and ethical language in these discussions just because it adds weight to their argument. This is one of the few times where I would say I would argue there's moral imperative there. I would argue there's some ethical imperative to say, listen, these individuals spent this money at your recommendation, and now that money is essentially wasted. If you recommend I spend $700 on a controller 2 weeks ago, and then today you say, sorry, you can't use it, my answer is to never use your product again. What's a $700 controller? Let me show you, Jake. It's $550, but after you buy all the peripherals to set it up, it ends up coming close to $700 or more. This is literally for somebody to play a game with their mouth. If you look up Rocky No Hands, he uses either this device, or I'm fairly certain this is the device he uses. Okay? And you've got multiple spots where they can blow. This is like 4 buttons right here. Up, down, left, and right. They can move this thing here. You see the joystick part of it? You see sort of like the compass behind it at its base? They can move this like a joystick with their chin. Up, down, left, and right. And then he has another spot here he can blow into as well. So it's extremely expensive. It's a proprietary, very custom, I would say a pretty advanced device, responding to somebody blowing. Like, it's responding to air. Pretty impressive. You don't want this thing going bad. I'm sure there's all kind of, efforts to keep. I mean, you probably have to keep the hoses clean. You probably have to keep these spots right here clean. I'm assuming that these detach and clean, because if not, you're going to get dust and spit build up in there that's going to make them not work all that well. You can see how the hose is separated. You can see it's separated, so the hoses might need cleaned every once in a while, but this spot here probably needs cleaned fairly regularly, so that it continues to work well. I'd have to ask Rocky, how often he has to, how he has to clean it or whatever. This controller blows. No, it's the opposite. You blow the controller. Hey-o! It's radical. Somebody with the decision-making power has got to fix the mistake of disabling it. For sure. For sure. Are dirty jokes allowed? Oh, I think that they would find it funny. The people that use the controller would probably find that funny. They would not be like, that's offensive. They wouldn't. Oh, come on. You got to laugh about stuff like that, man. Come on. We're making a joke about the controller as well, by the way. Not the people using it. They recommended before this change takes place. You can be mad personally about it, but that doesn't mean they have done anything wrong, nor do they have to spend time and money to make this one product the exception. No, I disagree. I think you could argue harm. Now, the lawyers might tell me no, but I think you could argue harm. You could argue financial harm. I would like to be refunded my money by Xbox then. If I spent close to $1,000 to get the whole setup at their recommendation, and then they shut it down and made it stop working, I would expect to have that harm mitigated. I would not have spent this money if it wasn't for your recommendation. Okay? Maybe psychological harm. I feel I'm being singled out. Right? I'm being disallowed something that brings me great joy, you know? The legality of it, you'd have to argue as a lawyer. You'd have to try to argue harm. Harm caused by Microsoft, harm caused by Xbox. You recommended this, they spent the money, then you shut it off. That's both financial and psychological harm to the individual. You know, these circumstances are unique. It's not like a game that you sold that didn't work that well. I don't think you can at all. They recommend it when you could use it. Now that they don't allow it, they just stop recommending it. Still up on the website right now. So, anybody from this point forward, you know. And you're not arguing, you're just reasserting your case. You're just saying, I don't think they can at all. Why? You'd also need to argue reliance. It might be tough to prove. You've had some takes in here that give me pause, says Derek, but this one's a bit wild. Detrimental reliance, says Lynch. You've swayed me, verdict in favor of the plaintiff. Like, I didn't want to run with this, like, Xbox is being mean to quadriplegics or whatever, but I'm being a little bit more strong in my position now that we went to their dadgum website. And they're like, yeah, buy this device. This is great. We're out here doing things for accessibility in gaming. Okay. Well, then don't stop. Don't actively work against it. You know? Justify your decision. Omar says undue burden. Can't you argue reliance because they link it right there on the site? I think Lono made a good point there. It's literally advertised. Yeah, it's an endorsement. It's an endorsement and a recommendation to solve a unique problem. And then they just basically walked that back. Phil Spencer pushes kids out of their wheelchairs. Clearly, it's Jim Ryan's fault. That's right. I'm curious how much it costs to make that controller. Well, sometimes you have to be very careful by looking at production costs. Like, you could look at production costs of that controller, and they may be keeping production costs down. So let's say it only costs them like $100 or $200 to make it. However, the R&D that went into it, the specialists that they may have had to hire, the engineers, the patent that they might own or haven't owned or filed for or whatever, all of the costs that went into getting the device working is also a part of the cost of the device. They're not making, I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think they're making millions of those mass produced. Their production is probably at a smaller scale. Therefore, production costs generally go up when you're not producing at mass scale. Play anywhere on any screen, except you have to only use this one controller, and F those ones that we are still recommending on our own website. Zubair says, it's been a minute, but wouldn't you need to prove that, but for that statement by the defendant, you wouldn't have purchased the device? Yeah, it would be an if not for. If not for their recommendation, I wouldn't have spent $1,000 on all this equipment to use the quad stick controller. I wouldn't have done it. I didn't know the controller existed. If not for Microsoft and Xbox promoting it in an effort to have more accessibility in gaming, I wouldn't have spent this money. I spent this money because of you. You're the causality. Therefore, your actions that made it stop working have caused harm to me. Now I have money that I have spent on something that I cannot use. I think I would argue it's an implicit contract or warranty based on the endorsement. There you go. There's some legalese for you. DevSide with 23 months. I have an Xbox 360 fighting stick that I use a converter to play on my Series X. It's going to be sad if I can't use it anymore. Fairly certain that will be one that stops working in DevSide. Eugene says, ain't typing this on YouTube. Feel free to read it. One of my best friends growing up had muscular dystrophy. He loved games as a child. I'd spend the night at his house playing Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. As he grew up and entered high school, his condition took his ability to play games away, but he still took enjoyment from watching me play and hanging out. He passed away at 23. I wish he had a device like this, and hearing that someone like him could lose his ability to play, it infuriates me. It's why I was so animate yesterday. Yeah, I could tell you were emotionally invested. I didn't know why. But I could tell. I was like, this is personal. This is personal for Eugene. And that's why when I looked at like Rocky, I was like, okay, so Rocky is representing a whole bunch of people that we can't see, right? He has a channel. There are many like him that we can't see that are either they're in a wheelchair of some sort, maybe they're even in a bed, and have limited use of their arms, maybe no arms, and they have to use something like this. And that's got to be pretty devastating to boot up one day and be like, all right, here we go. I'm going to go game, and be like, no, this thing's not authorized. Like, what? I literally bought this at Xbox's recommendation. What do you mean it's not authorized? Y'all told me to buy it. Dev side with 23. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Guys, in about 20 minutes, we're going to go to a premiere about the new Avatar game. Is it too much like Far Cry? That's what everybody's saying, is it's just another Far Cry. I'm going to give you a video on the most positive response we're seeing to the game all the way to the most negative. Very quick video to give you a quick snapshot of the game. And we'll do that in about 20 minutes. So we got about 20 minutes to hit the member goal. So if you guys want to push that goal, keep it going. We only need about 10 more members, and we'll hit it, and then I'll owe you guys 5. We've been crushing it lately. Sometimes you guys have been mashing the members at the buzzer, which is now is a great time. A lot of the hate watchers are now gone. They come in the early, part of the stream to try to clip, and then they leave once they're, once we kind of wind down here. So now is a great time to gift members, because you won't inadvertently give one to somebody that we don't want to have get one. So Creature, I'm going to need the member's thumb. Skill Up said it wasn't enough like Far Cry. I'll be really interested to discuss this with you guys in the members debrief. That influenced consumer had a reasonable expectation for that device to function on the platform and made a purchase at what could be argued a significant expense. That's what I'm saying, Omar. I believe you could argue harm. I don't believe you would necessarily win, but I believe you could argue harm. A gifted member goes to Baba Yaga from my man Stone Spire. Appreciate you, Stone Spire. Always in here being positive, always gifted and being generous. Thank you, sir. I would say a regulatory body has a different relationship to an individual than the gaming company like Xbox, so I don't know how applicable that is. Nova says, I work in the regulatory environment. Action taken based on a recommendation is something a company can be held liable for. Xbox may have an arbitration clause for this, but they are not free and clear. You would certainly not win. Man, you're really certain about this. DK Bager with the gifted member takes us to 14. Like, you're really, really certain on this one, Solemn. I'm not quite sure why. I'm not sure where your confidence comes from. Let's check out this let's just check out this website one more time, and let's just see if Xbox has any legalese about this recommendation. I'm not seeing any asterisks. There's just a link here. Yeah, there's no way. Scroll to the bottom. Prices and availability may vary by a retailer. There's no disclaimer. There's no legal, we're not responsible, we're not liable for the purchase of that device, nothing. There's no fine print anywhere. It's just you scroll past the dimensions and specifications for their device, and then they have the quad stick right here. And that's it. And if I click this banner, it takes me right to the device to buy it directly from them. I can add it to my cart right here. I would say this is a very, very strong. Is that an ad? I don't think it's an ad, no, because I can't. I think I'm blocking ads on Xbox. It would say ad on it, would it not? Somewhere? Wouldn't it say ad? I mean, it's always here. They have more. They have the Logitech. They have the stealth switch, foot pedal. Sometimes folks that are motor impaired use a foot pedal because they have the use of their feet. Darth Nihilus with 22 months and a VIP. Welcome back. Captain Toasty Buns with 23 months and a VIP. Welcome back. So if Lono recommends Manscaped and the product takes my left nut, does Lono have to pay for my harm since I wouldn't have purchased it without his recommendation? Well, no, because that would be different when you go and purchase the item from them. Like if Xbox recommended that quad stick controller and it started electrocuting people when they put their mouth on it, they would have a case against the manufacturer for, if it was some kind of liability with it being designed poorly or some type of negligence in the design, right? You would then be suing the company for negligence in their design of the product itself. So you'd be going to the manufacturer, not to the recommended. If I say, yeah, man, you guys should really check out this beard trimmer. It's great, and I'm using it, and you get one that's been put together wrong because they don't have good quality control, and it shocks your face and burns you and maims you, you would go to the manufacturer and you would sue. You wouldn't come to me. He can be. Tom Brady's being held liable for crypto recommendations. Aren't financial recommendations different than a product that goes bad? Isn't that different? I'm asking. I don't know. I would assume they're very different. Easy to win argument. You go in and you state, I went to Xbox's site specifically to ensure I got the recommend from the horse's mouth. I found this on their site and I bought it for that reason. Feels like pretty open and shut case. Yeah, like if I go directly to a company and I say, hey, what's compatible with your device? I go to Xbox. I'm like, hey, Xbox, I have a hearing impairment, and there's this technology, and there's these hearing impaired devices that'll pair Bluetooth. What devices are compatible? And if Xbox had a list, and I bought it, and they're like, yep, these are the ones that work, and then they're like, yep, not anymore, though. We just shut it off. I'd be like, you recommended it. You said this was the one to get. That's why I think you say undue burden, because it is such an expensive purchase also. Plus, they made the change behind the scenes and then announced they were blocking it, says Omar. Yeah, they did not inform the customer. Recommending this controller for disabled people to use is not the same as recommended unregulated gambling scams. Right, but we're making two different comparisons now. The crypto recommendation was a financial recommendation that brought financial loss. We're talking about a product recommendation that they have stopped supporting, and that person is suffering undue harm because they wouldn't have spent the money, or undue burden. They wouldn't have spent the money if Xbox hadn't recommended it. It's similar, but it's not. It's like one is, hey man, invest in this crypto, and the crypto fails. I wouldn't have done it. It wasn't for you. What the frick are you talking about? I took your financial advice or whatever. Quadstick is also available in their shop. You can buy it directly from Xbox. That's kind of the end of the discussion if that's true. Like, there's no discussion to be had if I can buy this from them. If I can go to the Xbox website and buy it, then the conversation's over. Assistive technologies. I'm trying to apply a filter and it's not working. I just want to see your assistive technologies. Check below to refine your results. Yeah, it's not working. Okay, they have the Xbox Adaptive Controller. I'm scrolling. I'm not seeing it. I'm going to scroll for a long time, I think. Man, they got a lot of stuff on here. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, Evidence. Are you sure? You sure they sell the quad stick on here? Storage, cables and network, wheels and joysticks, assistive technologies, end of discussion. This discussion is over. I'm officially on the Xbox.com website. Assistive technologies, Xbox adaptive controller, Logitech, AirTurn. What do we have here? The Quadstick FPS game controller. If that takes you right to the Quadstick. This is basically not just an endorsement. This literally looks as if this is a device in the Xbox accessory lineup. That's the end of the discussion. They simply must ensure that this device continues to work. I believe this creates an imperative. This creates an imperative. You are promoting and linking to a device as if it is one that you sell yourself. It's like listed in your store. So did I misspeak? Xbox.com. Sorry. In 10 minutes, we're going to be going to this premiere. I got to set it up now. I'm just going to use the place. I'm going to use the placeholder thumb. I'm not sure. Creature may have stepped away. Probably a huge mistake. Overlooked. Is Xbox going to buy all these companies too? It's possible that they got one step before the other. I mean, it's possible. You know, it's very, very possible. Avatar is just Far Cry debrief. They could be looking to license those devices, right? They could literally be looking to license those. Stone Spire puts us within 10 of the 25. We'll see if somebody slams home the 10 bomb to get us a 25. We've not missed that goal in well over a year. Thank you so much, sir. And it goes to Rigger. If you guys get a gifted membership from one of these kind people, thank you so much for doing that. Or say thank you so much for... Live streaming isn't available right now? What is YouTube doing? There we go. This... And... Okay. Alright, we got that scheduled. Now let me schedule this one. Avatar is too much like Far Cry. I'm like, that actually sounds good to me, but you know. Oh no, this is wrong. Set as a premiere. What are they doing with these new settings? Ambient. Go there tomorrow at noon. Okay. Great way to piss off the disabled community. I'm telling you it's a mistake that they're going to walk back. It doesn't stand to reason that they would do this and mean for it to stick. It doesn't at all stand to reason. All right, today at noon. Perfect. All right, guys, 8 minutes to get 10 more members. We're going to go to this premiere in 8 minutes. Let me set this up. The redirect's ready to go. 10 signals will do it. Or 110 bomb. We'll see what happens. As long as they only temporarily drop it, nothing will happen. They could just say it was down while they implemented these new changes. I'll concede that one only because it's on their site. So let's hear the argument for one's not on their site. Oh, I definitely think it's a lot harder if you're using some other device. Now, I don't know how many quadriplegic controllers are in the market. I not to be crass, I would hazard a guess there's not a large volume of demand for them. Not only are there not going to be a massive amount of quadriplegics in the market in general, if you just quantify them as like a measurable target market, they also need to want to game, right? So it's like that's a slice of a slice. So you have the people within the populace that may need a controller like that. They also have to want it. They have to want to game. So I don't think there's like a ton of those controllers out there. I don't think there's a ton of companies out there making these controllers, which is likely why that one in particular is the one that a lot of people talk about, because it's probably one of the only, if not the only. I don't know. But, you know, you're out here recommending it. You're telling people to get it. There isn't even a huge market for those people playing games. Gee, many Christmas for those people. They may be one of the most niche group in existence in gaming. Yes, which means it's likely only a handful of companies making the devices, which would make it really easy for Xbox to figure this out. Like, it shouldn't be that difficult. We're not talking about like all these third-party controllers. Don't get stuck on the quadriplegic. There's a wide range. Yeah, that's why I said anybody who has any form of motor impairment, right? Whiskey Neat says, I'll gift one member for every 100 I have in my account. Crap, that's only one member. Whiskey Neat calling on you guys to do a member chain. We got 5 minutes. 5. I can't stop it. The premiere's scheduled. We haven't missed this goal in a year. We need 10. I can't help. Whiskey's going to do one. He's calling on you guys to help him out. He takes it to 16. Cal does one. Takes it to 17. There we go. Just get it to 25 and stop. It's the end of the month. We don't got to go crazy. Let's just keep the streak. Let's keep the streak alive. Did they make controllers for people that got old and slow? Asking for a friend. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Zuby. You know? I don't know if they have a dumpy lawyer controller. I don't know if that's in the cards. You know? They're like, we did the research. There's not a lot of demand for this controller, you know? They call the controller the Tubby Sloth. Stone Spire gifts one. He joins the member train and takes us to 18. There it is. And 5 from Keithius. There we go. We're only 2 away. My man Keithius gave us the bump that we needed. 4 minutes before we go to this premiere. You guys are the absolute best. Keeping the streak going for almost an entire year. It was the community's idea to do this about a year ago. And we've been doing it ever since. I give 5 every 25 as a way to say thank you to all the people that are generous to the channel and either gift memberships or jump in brand new on their own. You do not have to wait for a gifted. We appreciate you so much. And there it is. Trill Troll bumps it to 24. Who gets to take the prize home today? Who's going to slam it home? And Super Gaming slams it home to 25. We did it. All right. Let me get you guys a link to this premiere. And then we'll be able to discuss this with members. I will gift the 5 members that I owe you. Lord Finesse says, and 1 for the road. Mr. Itchaglitch says, and another 1 for the road. Thank you guys so much. And Melrose Mike takes us to 28. Then 38, a 10 bomb from Gilbert Sanchez says, guys, let's take it as far as we can go at the buzzer. Taking a bunch of people with us. After every single premiere, we have a members-only debrief, and you guys can come to that if you get one. Jive Turkey jumps in and says, we're not just going to hit the goal, we're going to surpass the goal. Thank you so much, Jive Turkey. Appreciate you guys so much supporting the stream. I bet we end up with 27 far more often than we end up with 25. Yeah, probably. Whiskey Neat's like, let's get to 50 now. Not to 50. Ah, that made me think of The Princess Bride. Not to 50. We just need a single and a 10 bomb to slam it home. You guys got 1.5 minutes. Hang on. Who's this? Oh, okay. That's really sweet. Walmart doesn't need to have multiple spots, some being van accessible, some being different. You don't need to provide scooters either because everyone should have their own scooter. Anyways, love to see the support. Thank you, Pugs. Guys, I'm going to spam a link in chat. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, smash that like button. We should easily have 400 likes by now. We could get 50 more likes, I think, in the blink of an eye. There's almost 500 people here. So if you haven't hit like yet, make sure and do that. Make sure when I send you over to the premiere, you also hit the like button. That first 100 likes really, really helps the premiere. It helps me, so I appreciate you guys so much that help with that. I'm going to put the link in chat. You can either click the link, or you can choose to ride the redirect, and it'll be also the featured video on the channel. I will see you guys over there. Thanks so much for watching. Let's go check out Why is Avatar Too Much Like Far Cry?